Let's go. Stream time.
Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time. Excuse me. Hello, everyone. I'm Charis Euphranor. I'm first and last librarian of Alexandria. No, sorry. I'm the first and last Philosopher VTuber, the last librarian of Alexandria. Oh gosh, it's been a month. It's been a month, and I am now allowed to mess up my introduction because it's been a month. Those are the rules. Those are the rules. Today we're 28 minutes. We're 18 minutes late to the stream. Because I think Elden Ring has had a lasting permanent impact on my library computer, and that impact was not good. It's I don't know why my OBS is getting worse and worse. I genuinely I don't know why. Every time I launch this, it's getting worse. Now I can't even do the starting screen. I had a starting screen. You may be aware. You may well remember that I had one. And now it's not here anymore. Or rather, not now, but I can't get it to work. I can't get it to exist while launching the broadcast. I don't know. It's like things are getting worse, and I guess such is life, right? And thus we persevere. It's important to persevere. It's very good too.
Both the pewter and librarian are left with lasting scar after the 18-incher and the femboy plus gym teacher.
Yeah, exactly right. So that was me dodge rolling, yeah, for 20 minutes to get this stream on. I hope you're all grateful. I know you're not, because it wouldn't make sense to, but I say that to it's not to you guys. I say that to myself. I say that to myself to feel a little bit better about it. Philosopher VTuber explains Philosopher VTuber explains why Elden Ring DLC isn't too hard. That's the topic for today. I suppose we can write that down. Should we do that? Let's do that. Yes. It would be helpful. Let me just try to find how I can do that. Pen and paper, I'm sure. Do you hear my... I think you hear my typing. I hope it's less intrusive than I think it is. Okay, it's a little too big. Hold on, let me just... Okay, that's like... We do that. And then, yeah, okay, that works. Excellent. God, I'm so sorry that, like...
Just got here, missed the last stream. Congrats on the funny subscriber count if no one pointed that out yet.
Welcome to the stream, Nicole. Yes, the funny subscriber count number happened. I think it happened yesterday during the stream. Very happy. You know what's surprising is, like, I think I got like... I got a few more unique viewers than usual from yesterday's stream, and I think it was confusing probably for them because they were like, "Oh wow, there's this VTuber
the
doing
answer
Elden
is
Ring
Stockholm
content."
syndrome and sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah, sure. But I think they weren't probably. I think I gained one subscriber out of
Why
what,
is it
30
funny,
people
Mr.
that clicked
Chairman?
into it.
Elden Ring.
Why is the number funny? It's because, you know what's interesting is Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be talking about Elden Ring. We'll talk about this a little quick. um, 69 is a funny number because when you say it in school, people laugh and they go, hee hee ha ha, that's the funny number. That's why. It's interesting. That is what I have asked children who I've overheard laugh at the number, and that's the response they give, and I think that's really interesting. And then sometimes, and I think in another case, I heard someone talk about their experience talking to children,
Oh,
who
hi.
laughed at it.
You're here.
I am here, despite all
So
the
it's
odds.
funny because it is funny.
That's one of the reasons I heard.
Someone subscribed after watching the librarian Elden Ring, for an hour or two.
Yeah, I don't know why they would do that. Like, that's not the content I usually do. But hang on, I'm going to mute parent for a little moment. Okay, just to get this thought cohesive and out of the way so we can get back to the Elden Ring topic. But I also heard another, I think it was like a video or like YouTuber, or some person, maybe a VTuber, like talk about like asking a child why they thought 69 was a funny number, and they said something, and then they made it. What was interesting was the child made up their own reason. They were like, oh, it's a funny number because it's and then they said some bullshit reason. Like, okay, I don't remember what the reason was because it's not the, it had nothing to do with the number 69, but they kind of come up with the reason why it was funny after the fact that they laughed at it, and it had nothing, they hallucinated it, they made it up, it had nothing to do with what the original meaning was. And I just thought that was a very fascinating topic that maybe we can explore in another stream. I think that could be something to explore next time, but for now we're not going to do that because instead of wasting the already wasted time spent in the technical error laboratory, I should be talking about Elden Ring instead. So the title and thumbnail are clickbait as usual. They always are. You've probably been used to them by now. And what I mean is, it's not so much a polished understanding, like explanation through a philosophical system, like why your Twitter comment is right or wrong. Like, that's not what I'm interested in doing, even though it may seem like it's been phrased that way. I am, however, interested in talking about Elden Ring and its difficulty and what it represents, and maybe a little bit of the existential crisis towards the end of it. Before I begin, I just wanted to say that at least I have chat working now, and you can see it on the screen. So I'm gonna just duct tape Parrot, so he just shuts up, because I can now see the comments on the screen. I don't need him to read it out for me. It's good, but he'll still be around if you enjoy looking at him. I think you do. I think you people do. I have you figured out. So I'm gonna hydrate before we start. Hold on. Alright, I'm back. I hope you don't hear my drinking sounds. I think that's too exclusive. I'll give that to you in the 1,000 subscriber ASMR video or whatever. All right. Now, let's begin. Elden Ring DLC isn't too hard. The core thesis of today, after spending 2 weeks, well, technically a week and like another stream, but I've spent the past around 2 weeks going through the DLC. It's probably, I believe, around 35, 40 hours I've spent in the game, something like that. Playing through the DLC, the new downloadable content, Shadow of the Erd Tree, which in itself is interesting to even mention as downloadable content because it seems almost like a new game. That's just how much was in there. And that's one of the reasons, that's one of the things that I think is important to bring up when people kind of get to the end of the extreme of the conclusion. Oh, it's too hard, it's not balanced properly. And they kind of leave a negative review, because I think even if it was, and I don't think it is, but even if it was a little overtuned for some instances, because it's certainly not for all instances overtuned, I believe, again. But even in some instances, if it was overtuned, like the amount of quality and effort and like things, worthwhile things to do, they're very worth, I think they're very worthwhile things to do that they put in the game, far exceeds any like negative aspect of certain bosses being overtuned, for example. Like, I just, because it's like, it's not, the game isn't just the 10 bosses and then some enemies that are like that will kill you really fast or whatever. Like the game is a whole ass open world exploration game. It's the whole thing is there. And so it's a little, it's not annoying, but I find it strange that there are even negative reviews at all based on this. I understand leaving feedback is important, but a negative review for a game says something different. If it's like, this game is dog shit, this game is not worth playing, this game there's no effort put in, the devs don't care, this is a cash grab, this is from EA, there's microtransactions in the store for getting a shadow tree fragment. Like, you know, that God, like that warrants a negative review, you know, not like the game is a little more difficult than I expected, therefore I'm gonna leave. You know, it's and in a world where it's very black, it seems very black and white, because people are allergic to nuance, people are allergic to understanding nuanced ideas. Having just a yes, no, good, bad attached to a game's review, whatever, is so asinine. It's so backwards. Like, we're not cavemen. We can express ourselves in thought through more than just, is it good? Yes. Is it bad? Yes. And then off you go now with your new opinion, youngling. I also don't expect you to come here and walk away with my opinion either. I think if you do, you're not doing a good enough job. You should walk away with your opinion that should be informed by mine, because I think mine's good, then you should be informed by it. You should listen to me, I think, but you shouldn't just follow me. You should go and listen to other reviews as well. I think there are other reviews that are also good, other opinion pieces, comments, whatever. Change is obviously moving. Your hallucination to not plague you. Yeah, yes. I am no longer a hallucination. It is me in my truest form. The discourse around not having a pause button, that I can address as well, but I think that's kind of wrapped around the game's design overall. And it's not EA for sure. Yeah, exactly. So, first of all, to finally finish that thought and get it out of the way, it makes no sense to me if you were to leave a terrible, like a really bad review, just because you got trumped by something, by the difficulty of something that came out like a few days ago that no one had the time to understand and digest yet. Because it's not, believe it or not, get good doesn't just mean, oh, perfect dodge and roll, parry every attack ever. That is, dodging and rolling and parrying is an important aspect of the game, but it is not the only aspect. There are many aspects to it. That's what makes it that's part of what makes it a great game. That's part of what makes it incredible, is it's not just that. That is an important part and it's very satisfying, but it is not the only thing. Okay? All right. Now, I'm going to get to my core thesis now very quickly, okay? The Elden Ring DLC is not too hard because you don't understand what you're saying fundamentally when you say it's too hard. Okay? Now, you know, there are lots of opinion pieces out there, lots of comments. I've watched and read a few. I've watched and read a few, admittedly. Not too much for this stream because I wanted it to be my thoughts right after, you know, beating Elden Ring and going through it just immediately unfiltered. And I thought if I wanted something that also was accounting for what people online are saying as well, I would make a video for it instead. I think for a live stream setting, it makes sense for it to just be my thoughts, right? And so here we are right now. Admittedly, though, I did watch several things, reviews, including I did watch Dunky's video, and again, another masterpiece. Thank you, Dunky. Is the volume too loud? I'm looking at my mic right now. Let me just. Hello. Okay, I think this might be a little better. I'm adjusting my volume. Sorry, just sound checks, right? Admittedly, I did watch classic Mimic plus Taker's Flame W. Hey, all right, okay. We'll get to that. But first, let me just adjust something. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So these are just gonna be my thoughts, panned out in a way that is not quite well informed of what everyone else thinks right now. Just the initial reactionary wave of it's too hard, it's bad, I don't want it, I'm gonna quit the game, etc. Just the initial kind of backlash of that happened like a week ago, and there is some bias in that because people who tend to review things a few days into release that are at least like worth like 30, 40, 50 hours of content to play through at least. I don't think it's quite possible to do it faster than that without you having expert knowledge in the game, and if you do, you probably if you've beaten the whole game in that time, you probably didn't think it was too hard regardless. Or you're like, look, you're like a streamer doing a challenge, right? Whatever. But people who reviewed it immediately after are the people tend to be the people who are not enjoying the game right now and just playing through it, right? So there tends to be this negative bias filter, whatever that's come out. And I'm sure in 2 weeks, Elden Ring DLC being too hard will be a meme. And once everyone's done playing it, they can actually come out and overwhelm the voices that are too unnuancedly negative. They're negative without much nuance. I think those voices will really be overwhelmed in a good way. Okay. What do I mean by you don't understand what too hard is? Now, we can change it now. That's what is too hard? I think this would make doing it like this helps VOD watchers skip ahead to see stuff. If I segment it like this through these titles on my head. What is too hard? What's too difficult? I don't mean like, you know, let's construct a system and a definition that satisfies all extreme cases and let's try to account for every metaphysical system alongside it. No. Just quick, intuitive idea, layman terms. What is too hard? Let me start, right? Too hard is when, you know, there's a certain amount of difficulty in tasks, and when something is too hard, it's, I would venture, when something is not, how do I say this? The difficulty is not worth what you get out of it. That's what would be too hard. Because if something is hard, it's difficult. Oh, it's something to overcome that will take time and effort and a lot of whatever, right? Maybe even luck. Yeah, that can be hard. But when something is too hard, and the emphasis is on the two, the emphasis is on it being excessively hard. Is this too low? Hold on. Oh my God, sorry. I have to just volume it again. Okay. I'll do this and we'll figure it out. Okay. Okay. Too hard. Emphasis on the two. When something is too difficult, too hard, it means it's so overwhelming It's so difficult, it's so challenging that it's not worth doing. Okay? That is just not, it's not worth it. Like if you, like even if you could do something that's too hard, even if you could accomplish something that's a bit too hard, it just wasn't worth it, you know? It's like, god damn, I wasted my time on this. Like, sure, I got some satisfaction, but it wasn't worth the hours and tears of effort I put into it. That's too hard. Now that is too hard. That's what that means, right? And I think we can agree that's what that means. I don't know, constant skill requirement. That can be hard. That can be very hard, but that's not too hard. The emphasis is on the two. Remember, what if the reward is good, but I have skill issue? Is it too hard for me? Yeah, so it's all proportional. It's all proportionate. Sorry, it's all proportionate to. I can't words, right? But it can be skill issue. I have skill issue. That's why I play Taker's Flame Blasphemous Blade. Duh. Like, it's because I have skill issue. Duh. That's why I use summons. It's because I have skill issue. Sure. You like skill issue in a game like Elden Ring is it's almost like the entire identity of the game. It's like, how do I deal with my skill issue? What if the reward is good? Yeah, the reward could be good, but is the reward worth the amount of time I sink in to do it? If I had to spend 200 hours because I'm just really, really, really bad, which, you know, I just don't think is an accurate assessment of how this game is, right? But if I have to spend 200 hours beating the dancing lion, is it worth it? Maybe, you know, you get a cool helmet out of it, you get some runes, you get progression, you get a sense of accomplishment, you kind of tied in and wrapped with all those things. But maybe it just wasn't worth the 200 hours. You could have spent playing another game where it could have given you that sense of accomplishment, sense of achievement, or whatever, right? That is to say that something being too hard, right, too difficult, is a subjective experience. Okay? Something that can be too hard for me is not too hard for you. Whatever. Now, I'm taking my time explaining this because I don't want it to immediately devolve, as it tends to, into like, well, it's all relative, and you know, if it's all subjective experience, then I'm saying it's bad and we're all saying it's bad, so you're wrong. Like, it's not a vote. It's not a democratic vote how hard a game is. Okay, something being too hard is very much tied to your subjective experience of that thing. Because, you know, is it worth how difficult that is? If it is worth that difficulty, then it's not too hard. It's just, it's hard. And you know what? Things are hard. Yeah, of course. Like, things are difficult. All the time. A lot of things are very difficult. A lot of things have been made very easy, but a lot of things are still very difficult, right? But they're worth it, and so they're not too hard. Now, there's a lot of complaints that Elden Ring is too difficult. Now, how do you deal with people saying they had a bad subjective experience? You can't go and say dismissively that, well, that's because you're a fucking idiot and you don't know what you're talking about, and you skill issue, get good, just try not to suck. Have you heard of dodge rolling? Maybe you could just, you know, use the summons, which is the easy mode of the game. Okay, that is the reactionary response to this subjective experience that people have when something is too hard, when this game is too hard. And that happens with a lot of the get good bros that played the Souls-like games. Now, I think at its core, they kind of have a point, but they're also kind of stupid in that, or inconsiderate in that when they express it, when they express their sentiments, it's in this cruel disregard of how people feel. And I think it's very important to kind of be sympathetic to the way people feel about something, and that comes in discussion when something is too difficult. Okay. Just saying get good, Lamau, collect the fragments, you scrub, use the summons, you noob, is not helpful. It's not helpful for anyone. You're not convincing anyone, and you are just making people like you're just kind of gatekeeping and pushing people away from what is otherwise an incredible experience, and we should not be doing that. Okay, so get good, bros. In short, right? Need to shut the fuck up for a moment. They need to be a bit more eloquent with their words. Okay, but they kind of have a point. It's a little bit, okay, a little bit. Draco said it, but someone said that in Elden Ring, if you give up, your build is bad. If you give up and say Sekiro, you're just bad at the game. Game mechanics or some such. Interesting take. Narcissism, not man. So someone said in Elden Ring, if you give up, your build is bad. If you give up in Sekiro, you're just bad at the game. What does that mean? What? If you're giving up, you're leaving, right? You're, as in, like, you're not coming back to the game because I don't want to play it. That's what giving up is, right? If you're going to respec, that's not giving up. If you're going to use a different mechanic, like say, okay, I'm gonna summon now, I don't think that's giving up. I think maybe you're giving up some sort of weird self-imposed challenge you might have put on yourself, but that's not part of the game. That is something you did to yourself, or rather maybe the community has enforced and imposed on you in some sense that you feel, oh, now it's, you know, I don't want to summon because everyone in the community is saying you're a scrub and you're bad at the game if you summon. It's a fucking video game, dude. It's a fucking video game. You shouldn't let people tell you how to play a video game. If you cannot process your own emotions and understandings while playing a video game, you need to be told how to play it. Then there is a bigger issue at hand beyond just the game is difficult. The bigger issue is you do not understand how to enjoy video games. Yes, that may also be a tangential rant that I think there are wrong ways to enjoy video games. Or rather, no, not wrong ways to enjoy video games. I think enjoying something like a video game is a skill that needs to be acquired and learned and taught, or not, maybe not taught, but like it is something to be acquired that some people don't have. Some people don't understand how to enjoy a video game, and that's fine. That's fine in the sense that like they're not worse people because of that. But if you can't understand how to enjoy a game, then you should endeavor to introspect on that. Marine to purposes. The what? Did I do that? I don't know. Don't do that. Don't clip it. Thanks. So, now that we've got what is too hard out of the way, I think we've gotten it out of the way, right? We can kind of collectively understand that, yeah. What is too hard is a subjective experience. Cool. Let's move on then. Sorry, I'm like 60 years old. I mean, I'm not, but never mind. Typing is hard. Okay. Yeah, I think the font being a little smaller so it fits above, so it can kind of be above the frame as well is good. Okay, cool. Now. Excellent point, good rant. However, strong man argument fallacy identified, but I do agree. But I just wanted to, yeah. So again, I'm not. This is not like a mounted opinion piece against the most nuanced take that in existence. This is a reaction to the initial Twitter straw man that has come out. These are bad takes. I'm not taking down like a good opinion or like one that's very well thought or nuanced. I'm just kind of eliminating a straw man. You're completely right in pointing that out. I think it's good to say that. You're excellent observation. Like, I'm not like, this isn't the meat. This is not like the meat of the argument, or rather the takeaway of it. This is just a Twitter straw man. This is some fuckhead idiot that is not representative overall of like the community at large. Yes, absolutely. But it's important to address, I think, like at least briefly, fuckhead community idiots, because they tend to be kind of loud. And we all know rage bait is the best way to get people to engage, and engagement farming is awesome. Number go up, me happy, right? Anyways. Let's move on to difficulty and instant gratification. Okay. Elden Ring exists in a very peculiar environment. All right. When we talk about games and anything really, we can never just take them in isolation, without their contexts and where they come out and when they come out, what happens, what's surrounding them. Right. Elden Ring is a game that exists among other games, particularly when one is considering the point, oh, it's too hard, it's too difficult, or something, or rather, it's a game not worth playing. I don't want to. It's bad, whatever. Right? It's not suitable for me. Well, you say this not in a vacuum. You say this relative to other things. You have other things to do in life. That's the whole. That's what, you know. That's what makes it too hard, right? It's too hard when, you know, the time you sink in it is not worth it. You're better off doing something else, like playing, I don't know, playing Baldur's Gate 3, playing Genshin Impact, playing like the new Zelda game, whatever, right, etc. And beyond video games, right? Beyond video games that have come out recently, you have life to deal with. You could go work a job. You can go and endeavor in other sorts of entertainment, like watching TV or a movie, etc., etc., etc. What I'm trying to say is, you cannot just take things in their isolation. You have to expand on its fullest context in order to genuinely engage with it, right? That's what we're doing. That's what we're going to try to do here, all right? Something is too difficult when it's just not worth it, so let's go do something else. That's what it is. No, maybe get a job. You don't have to get a job. You can go watch a movie instead. Elden Ring reverse that painful process with enjoyable post clarity. Not exactly. I don't think that's the case. Okay. Now here it is. Elden Ring exists in a kind of modern gaming landscape where, and I can't claim again to know all of the video games to ever come out now. I have only so much time in the day, but from what I am aware of, other than kind of fringe rage streamer games, which I think can be classified as streamer games and rage games. If you're not familiar with the term, I don't know how I can explain it to you. I suppose it's like the types of games where it's designed around entertaining streamer reactions, and the way you're intended to enjoy the game is actually by watching it, someone go through it and struggle and suffer through it, rather than playing through it yourself. And there's a kind of a difference between Elden Ring and those types of games. Like, for example, there's one that came out recently, the Only Up type game, like the streamer games. Those are what they are, right? Is that going to start a flame war? No, I don't think so. I think that's like a fairly, I'm thinking like that's probably like a fairly non-controversial statement, right? So we can kind of continue with that. Sure. Okay. I'm not going to be the one to say that games are too easy. There's some people who are going to do that. I'm going to shake the fist. Back in my day, we had to play the Simpsons Home Family Run or whatever that game was called, which was way too absurdly difficult. Actually, now that might be too difficult and unrealistic to expect a child to be able to complete. I'm not going to be one to say, yeah, the landscape is filled with games that are too easy or whatever. I will say, however, that From Software, through their Souls lineup, has established a reputation in the gaming community for creating the challenging content, not the impossible bullshit content, not the streamer rage bait. Maybe a little bit of streamer rage is built into that, because, you know, nothing exists in, it's not binary. It doesn't exist in its independent binary. It has some overlap with streamer rage games. It does. But they're known for their difficulty, you know, like it's infamous. It's like it echoes through as someone me, right? I've never played a single Souls game. If you'd asked me years ago what Dark Souls was, I'd say, oh, it's the hard video game. It's the one that punishes you and it's really grim and dark, but people really like it. But it's like the masochist game. The child that got stuck in the last hit and run mission never finished it. Such pain remains in me like a flesh bone. Yeah, maybe that's too hard. And so Elden Ring comes out in one aspect through this context, through the context that From Software is a studio known for making hard games. And another, it also comes out in this sort of sea of games that, oh, how fallacious am I feeling today? How much of a straw man do I feel like pointing out today? Well, okay, let's just say that there are games that are abundant and popular, and I'm not going to name them because you know them. I don't have to name them. Not because I don't want to name them, because I don't have to name them and you know what I'm talking about, and there's like a lot of them that are designed around instant gratification instead. And this word is this term is thrown around a lot in a negative sense, right? Instant gratification is bad. You just want instant gratification, it's bad. Particularly by elitists who, again, want to gatekeep the difficulty of like something like Elden Ring. They kind of like, this is a term to throw around a lot. And while I think there's some merit in saying you shouldn't desire instant gratification in a game like Elden Ring, or like a game like Elden Ring is designed in mind against that, it's not necessarily to say that instant gratification itself is a bad thing. Because why? Because that's a whole other topic that is way beyond, I think, what is needed to make my point here in this Elden Ring rant. I could talk about it. I could talk about instant gratification and the state of it in general, and I will touch on it briefly in some points mentioned here today, but I will not. I won't. Okay. All I will say is that there is, and this is intuitive too, some sense of the word where something is less satisfying, gratifying, at least in the long term. It's less fulfilling. No, sorry, let me rephrase that. Something is less fulfilling if you can easily and readily access it instantly. It's less fulfilling. This is kind of true in general. I could defend this in a separate point. Gonna put an asterisk on this, you know, a little bullet point, a little footnote there. Topic can be expanded, but for the sake of this argument, generally, things, when they are easier, are less fulfilling. I'm not gonna, you know, go into why that is, you know, the psychology of it or whatever. But generally, you know, I hope this is an intuitive point too, that we can all kind of get behind. If you could just kind of get the thing, then like it wouldn't be as fulfilling to you than if you had to work really hard for that thing. Now, something that's a little annoying that I'm doing, you know, I'm kind of an annoying asshole here, right? Is I'm just connecting arguments that I've made in my head that I'm not expanding upon here in this stream to support this overall overarching point, but I hope you understand why I'm doing this. It's for the interest of time and categorization, and like I could do this. You can ask me clarifying questions later or on a future stream. That all works for me. But for the sake of it, I'm just gonna lay these out here very quick. The quick and dirty is here, right? Consumerism has fucked us in the ass in the sense that because things have been made easier than ever to get, we just want more things. That's consumerism. Okay, I'm not like, in a very quick and dirty way, because things are easier to get than ever, we are just less and less fulfilled by them and driven to just get more things. That is a point that is kind of important to agree on if you want me to get into the further weeds of this argument, right? Consumerism has fucked us in the ass. Yep. That's, you know, it is what it is. It's not just you all lot who are stupid. Me too, okay? I get that too. I sometimes, like, it's weird. I have to intentionally make things a little more difficult for myself to access in order for me to fully appreciate and enjoy them. Like, I love chocolate, right? But if I could have chocolate every day, I just, you know, like, my enjoyment of it wouldn't be as fulfilling, like, for me than if I had it like once a week, and also would be less healthy, but you know, that's a whole other thing. How much would you say that popularity is the issue, since pop games tend to be accessible regardless of skill? From Softworks and a few others reach popular status while targeting high effort. Good question. How much would you say the popularity is the issue? Popular things, pop games, are the types of things that appeal to big crowds and a lot of people, and get, you know, a lot of buzz, and there's a lot of enjoyment to come out of that. I think no matter how popular it is, it's always, From Software has kind of achieved this special, and I think deserved, status of being so of being the difficult game. I think nothing has carved itself more into it, and the best way to understand, to kind of see this point, I think, is through Donkey's video of like video game journalism, I think was his video, where it's just a compilation of video game journalists saying, this is the Dark Souls of Pokemon. This is the Dark Souls of Breath of the Wild. This is the Dark Souls of shooter games. This is the dark, you know, like when you use the name of the game as an example, just to say, just as a substitute, really as a shitty unnuanced substitute for difficult, then I think you've made your mark in the public consciousness, and you know, your reputation precedes you. And so I would say popularity itself is not an issue, in the sense that, like, it being known, like their games being known, is always preceded almost by their games being hard. Like, it's, oh, these are the people that made Dark Souls. Oh shit, that's Dark Souls game, the Dark Souls difficult game. Oh shit, I see. Okay. Everyone knows this. I think they've done a good job having their reputation spread enough that I don't think popularity is in itself the issue. However, it may be an issue in regards to, well, how do I say this bluntly? Trend chasing. Okay, yo, everyone's playing it now. Now you have to play it, right? Come on. Oh, you don't want to be the weirdo loser who's not playing this new hit game, Elden Ring. So now you have to play it. Oh, there's peer pressure. I think in that sense, maybe the popularity can serve as a crutch, where it's like you feel forced to because it's popular and you're chasing a trend and you're trying to get numbers. But I think at that point you're not enjoying a video game. You are playing a different game entirely, and that game is more of a social one. Good questions. Thank you. In the words of Northern Lion, I forgot his words, sorry. I'm bad at quoting. I'm bad at remembering specifics and like actual quotes people have, right? I'm really bad at that. Okay, sorry. But Northern Lion, in like a clip, there's like, it's been making the rounds recently as well, talking about like Elden Ring's difficulty, and I think it makes a good point in like, this is the last game like that exists in the mainstream public consciousness right now that respects your ability and your skill. Like, this is the last one. All the other games don't do that, is his rant, right? That's not my rant, that's his rant. Like, if you want instant gratification, you have Genshin Impact installed, there you go. his words. That's his rant, and I think there's some truth to it too, right? Elden Ring and From Software games like the Souls genre series, at least, is the last bastion almost of games that are supposed to be very difficult, where you do a lot to achieve something that would otherwise be sort of, well, in this argument, trivial in other video games, such as beating a boss or whatever, where, you know, in another game, if you just mash a button and beat a boss like that, you know, how much of it really is a boss fight? You weren't challenged, you weren't pushed to your limit, there was no sense of development and growth and achievement or whatever. That is simulated, sure, and it's a video game, sure, but it is there nonetheless. What shall I play? Because I want to be a Tumblr girl. Me and hipster, forget the word. Yes. Yeah, and then you could be a hipster and be like, no, it's too cool of a game, I don't want to play it. Dude, no, it shouldn't matter if the game is cool or not. If a game is good, you should play it. That's why, even though I don't want to be an Elden Ring channel, over half of my streams right now are Elden Ring because it came out at a time where I'm like, well, I have to play it. I love this game. I gotta do it. And evidently you can kind of see it on the stream. How are we going to take away the ability to fight back? That's a whole different type of game. That's not, I don't think that's the same as Elden Ring. Elden Ring is not horror. I think horror is different in that horror has different goals, or rather has different ways to achieve those goals than a game like Dark Souls or like, you know, than a game like Elden Ring does. It's a good question. I think that can I address it really quickly, or will it take a lot of time? Let me think. Horror games that take away the ability to fight back. Like any game, any type of game can be too hard. And Elden Ring is known as you know, the game that is hard, right? But it is still a type of game, and the type of game it is like it's an action RPG at its core. It's an open world action RPG. And horror games tend to not be that genre. So it's like it's a different genre of game. Yeah, there you go. I think the best way to just to answer that is it's a different genre. Anyways, are we done with difficulty and instant gratification? I think we're done. Yeah, you get it, right? Elden Ring is hard because it's the last game that's willing to be hard. Whatever. I'm maybe leaning towards the hipsters, the elitists, the gatekeepers, the get good bros, right? So let's move on. Oh shit! Uh-oh. Please ignore that. That was so stupid. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Another thing, FromSoft makes RPGs hard ones. The time requirement they have in mind to reward you is dimensions apart from what's generally popular. Yep. Exactly. That's a different type of Still got sticky keys on live on stream. I was holding down shift trying to think of how to word the next thing, and I just for a moment I completely forgot sticky keys were a thing. Well, they're there now. You heard it. all right, get that out of the way. Get out of the way. Is the game on excuse me, is Elden Ring's Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, right? Maybe Elden Ring in itself, is it unbalanced? Now, if you've been following my arguments so far, the answer may be obvious. All of my arguments may be before. Yes. Which may be surprising. Okay, I know it's surprising. Okay. The game is unbalanced. Yes. The game is unbalanced as fuck, and there are perhaps certain endeavors they can make to balance it out, to make it like even out. But Charis Euphranor, you spent the past like 40 minutes explaining why it's not too hard. Why are you saying it is unbalanced? Well, friend, because these are not the same thing. At least in this context, in this argument that we're going to make, they are not the same. There's a meaningful distinction. Okay, what I mean by the game is unbalanced is because of its nature as the first of its kind, an open world kind of Souls like action RPG. There's leveling systems and progressions. Okay, and so naturally enemies will get more difficult. Okay, sure, but it's not linear like all the previous games, and as a result you can go to different places. You could go to places that are in essence too hard too early. And because there's part of the game is that it's open world, and that allows you to do that, you can wander accidentally into Radahn's arena while being severely underprepared for it, at a point where it might be unfair because Radon can shoot an arrow from across the screen in an instant and immediately fucking kill you before you even know what happened by clicking into this portal. That can be unfair. The game can be unfair and unbalanced at times because of the nature of what it's trying to do. And right now it doesn't have a perfect solution. Its solution tends to be, okay, well, in order to progress further, you need to accomplish specific challenges, and those specific so certain areas are locked behind those specific challenges, and when you can accomplish those challenges, you are probably at a certain level / skill already that you can progress towards the next area. Even if it is open world, it's sort of like mini sandboxes connecting each other with little gates in between. Case in point, something like Margit as a soft gate. And he is a soft gate because you can walk around the gate too if you really wanted to. It's harder to, like, you have to really look around the map and explore, but you can actually just kind of like fuck off and not deal with Margit if you want in the beginning of the game. All this to say, although FromSoft endeavors to balance it to their best ability despite it being open world, it is inherently difficult to balance and very imbalanced because it's open world and directionless and not linear, and so the devs can't design, you know, enemies precisely at the difficulty that, you know, you're intended to tackle because there's no intended order of tackling. And what might be useful, which maybe seem counterintuitive, but I actually found quite useful, is actually just to follow something that's maybe a linear guide. That's like, here are the bosses in ascending order of how you should beat them because of how difficult they are. Something like that could be helpful for you to think that it's imbalanced. Yeah, the game is unbalanced in that aspect, and you can criticize it. This is a fair criticism to say, and this is one that Donkey holds as well, I think. Like, so please excuse me if it sounds like I'm parroting everything that he's saying, but I think he's kind of most of the time he's spitting. Okay, I think most of the time Donkey is fucking spitting. I'm sorry, I'm just parroting someone who's very popular, and their opinion is just in my opinion now. Please trust me, I have a point to make that's my own. But yes, the game can be unbalanced, but I don't think that's what makes it too difficult. Those are like, can't mention this game. Okay. Now with that said, what about the DLC? The Shadow of the Earth Tree is fucking hard. You step in level 200, you think you're good, you got your good shit, you know, you think you got your sword and your end game build. You walk in, get absolutely annihilated by just curb stomped by the first 5 basic mobs that you fight, or the first mini boss you fight, the Everjoel Knight. Just Lamau got him. You know what's interesting? And what I think is an easy way to see why that's kind of good is if you imagine it not being the case. All right, imagine if it wasn't the case that you stepped into the Shadow of the Earth Tree and immediately got your face stomped in, like, and you were actually just blowing things away really easily because you optimized your build, whatever, for like, because you played the game for like, you had the time to play the game for the past few years and probably sank hundreds of hours into it, right? If it was that case, if you could just stomp through everything, it would be too easy. And you know, the cardinal sin, it would receive so much more backlash and like critical critique if the DLC came out and it was too easy. That is something I think FromSoft is very aware of, and they would never make a mistake like that because it's just so core to their identity that the challenges are difficult and rewarding. They would always nerf something, you know, nerf a boss before buffing them. Wouldn't the DLC make the actual vanilla endgame unbalanced? A little bit, yeah. I mean, yeah, a little bit, in some sense. Because it's adding another layer of difficulty to this open world map that has many different layers of difficulty, like scattered across in a non-linear fashion. So one can wander from one level to another level of difficulty that may be too steep, you know, and not balanced. Yeah, yeah, good. But also, guess what you have to do to get to the DLC? You have to beat Radon and Moog, like arguably two of the three most difficult optional bosses. You don't have to. I think they're optional. I don't think you have to beat them. Is Radon? I think Radon is optional, and I think, yeah, they're both optional. The three most to me, right, and I think probably a popular opinion as well. I tend to have this. The three most popular bosses in Elden Ring are Millennia, Moog, and Radon. At least maybe pre-nerf Radon, right? You have to be 2 out of the 3 most difficult enemy, like bosses, enemies in the entire game to get access to this DLC. Why do you think that's it? Why do you think that's the case other than for lore reasons? There's lore reasons, yeah, sure. Of course there's lore reasons. But like, what you think you're gonna beat like what's in the base game of a game that's known to be hard, in order to get access to the DLC, and the DLC is gonna be easier than what you did to get into it? No! That would be terrible. That would be horrible. Then I'd be complaining. I would be fucking complaining if you had to go through all these hoops for an experience that is less rewarding because it is less challenging, okay? If you could just blow everything away with your build. And so in order to tackle that, while at the same time, like tackle the idea that there are going to be players walking in with endgame builds and like going to be like pretty powerful on their own. And in order to tie in a sense of progression to this new area and exploration of this new area, they implemented a mechanic called the Shadow Tree. And I've been calling it the Skadoo Tree fragments the entire 2 weeks I've been streaming the game. Because I didn't know how they're pronounced, but I believe SCADU is based off of, if not a word from Old English, and the way to pronounce it is Shadu. It's Shadu or something like that. So, you know, kind of like shadow, right? Like, so I think it's like, I think they're called Shadow Tree fragments. But this is a mechanic they implemented where if you explore the open world and collect these things in this open world exploration game, your character is stronger. And by virtue of having damage negation and like damage buff, great character, you can negate incoming damage and you can do more damage. The game is easier when you collect more of these. It is as straightforward as you get. And there's also the revered Spirit Ash, which I'll talk about later. They scatter these around in this open world exploration game, so you can play this open world exploration game and feel a sense of progression in this open world exploration game. Open world exploration action RPG. If you are refusing to collect the fragments, it's not just Lamau, you know, get the fragments, you idiot, you have to be told what to do now, you know, you can't play the game your own way. No. It's not like you are now being railroaded into a specific style of play. That's different. No. This is the game's way of encouraging you to engage with the game's mechanics. The game's mechanics involve exploration because it's a fucking open world game. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's like saying, oh, it's not fair that I have to dodge roll or parry or block in Dark Souls because it's too like, I think it's not fun. I think it's more fun if I can just mash one button instead. They're limiting my gameplay and my play style. That is not the case. That is not the case. You need to engage with what the game is doing with you. And if it's not for you, then like that is unfortunate. But then in that case, it's not for you. But that's different to say, oh, but you can't use summons because that's not what the real game is. No. These are all self-imposed restrictions. Again, look at the game and evaluate it for what it is. Elden Ring is an open world game. You need to go and explore, and by exploring, you get stronger. That is as simple as it gets. And people who refuse to use fragments are clinging on, as I suspect, right? People who refuse, and there are some people who refuse to use fragments, or at least constantly try to throw themselves at a boss without using fragments, and complaining about difficulty. People who are not complaining about difficulty are like, who are just playing it that way, are totally like, you know, they're just playing the game their own way, and they can have fun in their own way. That's totally fine. But if you're complaining that it's too hard without engaging earnestly with what the game allows you to do, then you're just not playing the game. You're actually kind of playing the game wrong. As opposed to, you know, like the sweaty tryhard opinion is if you're playing Magic and you're using summons, you're playing the game wrong. Like, that's not what I'm saying. You should play Magic and you should play summons. I do that. I am playing Taker's Flame, Blaster's Blade, and Mimic Tear. Okay, I use these things. They're very powerful game mechanics. But that's not playing the game wrong. Playing the game wrong is not engaging with the mechanics that they put into it. And that would be picking up this Shadow Tree fragments. Okay. God, such a long rant for such a simple point. I'm sorry, but you went to... But this is the Charis Euphranor live stream. Of course that's what it's going to be, right? The game is unbalanced, yes, but if you can't ignore its attempts to balance, to try to balance, by imposing self-imposed restrictions on yourself and then complain about it. Doing 2 out of 3 hardest bosses is probably the best way to go, but feels awkward that such high level area doesn't offer an ending. It's kind of an unbalanced branch of the main Elden Ring tree. Okay, that's a whole different thing. That's like, that's I kind of want to talk about that, Tara. I think you have a good point, but I don't think it is relevant to the discussion of it being too difficult. I'll talk about that at the end. We'll talk about that at the end then, because that's like a kind of structural story thing, like a sort of narrative game experience thing, which I think is fair criticism. I've come around to that criticism. I think it's actually very fair. But anyways, we're just addressing the 2 hard allegations today, okay? And yes, I'm taking longer time. I'm taking a very long time to break down every minute detail, but that's because I wanted this to be as comprehensive as possible. So yes, the game is imbalanced, but it's not too hard. Why is it not too hard? Because there are game mechanics in place that allow you to alleviate the bullshit that they throw at you in the higher levels. Case in point, certain weapons that are stronger exist, certain summons that are stronger exist for a multitude of playstyles. It's not just one. It's not just you are locked into one playstyle now and it's the best one. There's no such thing as the best playstyle, okay? There just isn't. And that's what makes it like not just a linear, like purely skill-based thing like Jump King, where it's like, oh, you just need to time every spacebar jump right and you got to get to it right. It's like, no, there's many ways to achieve that goal of beating a boss or whatever. You can use many different items, many different variations of spells, many summons, many weapons, many fucking like whatever. Like there's so many ways to do it that's what makes it, to me, different from like streamer games or rage games, because those types of games don't have that sense of player agency and creativity that something like Elden Ring I think provides. I think Elden Ring does provide that. And in that way, I find Elden Ring a more enjoyable experience. Again, however, that is the opinion piece, and that is unrelated to the difficulty of it. What is balance actually? Like, if we're still able to beat the game, then is it still imbalanced? It can be a balance if you could beat it, yeah, because you can say, well, that part was like took absurdly longer than it needed to, because of, you know, something that is frankly not good for the gaming experience. How to balance is a good question, but I think is a bit beyond this discussion too. I hope it's not a cop-out to say. Regardless, I think I'm not prepared to answer how to properly balance the game. I don't think many people are, or they will have a good answer for it. But that is a good question. I have to acknowledge that is a great question. Like, that in order to endeavor truly into this question of unbalance, what is balance then? Like, what is balance in a video game? Because you have to account for many different types of players, many different types of things, and that is like a hard thing to juggle, that game developers have to juggle. Game development isn't easy. Surprise. Would more guided experience or just better hints in the order to explore make it more balanced? Would it make it more balanced? Maybe. Would more guided experience or better hints make it? I think it would make it more balanced, but it would make it more linear. And I think if it's more linear, it goes against the design philosophy they had for making it an open world game in the first place. Because linearity in open world games kind of sucks. You know, there are examples of this. I don't have to mention them. Think of all the 1,000 UIs and quest logs and map objectives, and it's like Elden Ring does the opposite of that, which I think is also a little too much into the like no guidance side, because it's like randomly you stumble upon an NPC, you talk to them, and they're like, Tadish, I fought this war and I'm sad, and maybe there's a person that exists that could help me with this crisis. Their name is Bicola. You gotta go find them, and it's like, where are they? I'm not talking anymore. And then they don't even tell you where the NPC is. You're like, well, fucking, I don't know where the entire game where the hell they could be in. I think in that sense, yeah, maybe Elden Ring could have a little bit more guidance, but the way it is works. The way it is works for what it is. Enough so at least that it doesn't take away from what makes it good. But yeah, a guided experience would make it more balanced, but it would make it more linear, which stands in contrast to its open world exploration nature. But also, like, sorry, no, I'm not gonna go into that. I was gonna say, like, I was gonna talk about like kind of the whole idea of like looking up guides for certain games, but I'm not gonna do that. That's a whole other topic, I think, which I have said millions of times every time there's a tangent, because, you know, this is to maximize the amount of tangents we have, I suppose. Now, this, in fairness, might also be a bit of a straw man. You know, perhaps it's not a strong argument. But there's ample vocal feedback and opinions floating around, going like, no, but I have a job, I have school, I have life, I have things to do outside of this game. I can't spend 12 hours a day learning the game's boss and mechanics, and, you know, it's unreasonable for From Software to make a game this hard because it's like that requires me to spend this much time in it. You know what is really confusing to me is that this, in the public consciousness, seems to be a valid opinion. Like, I think it's a straw man, but I don't think it's being treated like it's a straw man. Like, I don't think this is being treated as, I think this is being treated as a fair, valid criticism of the game sentiment. And it's strange. And I think part of why that's strange is because, or part of my suspicion for why this seems like a valid reason to say Elden Ring is too difficult because I have a job in life, is because it prompts really knee-jerk reactionary responses from the get good bros to say, well, Lamau, just don't play the game, then it's not for you. And then it's like it goes into a whole thing, right? And I don't think this discussion should be limited to those two oppositions where it's like quote unquote filthy casuals versus the quote unquote like get good people. I don't think it's healthy for discourse to just be centered around two contrasting points that kind of suck. Time management skill issue. True. No. Okay. But I have a job in school life. Therefore, the game's unfair for making it this difficult and requiring so much time to put in to like learn a boss or like to pick up all the shadow tree fragments. I didn't think it would be possible for someone to complain that you have to spend too much time on a game. That is really weird to me. Okay, here's why I think that's weird. It's not unreasonable to just say, I have a job and I have a school, I have school, I have a life, you know, I have things, I have responsibilities, I'm an adult, I have a kid to raise, etc. And therefore I don't have time for Elden Ring. I don't think that is unreasonable. You can say that, yeah. And in which case, well, then you are not in a situation maybe to sink, if you're not in a situation to sink too many hours into a game or like a singular game experience, you know, then you're not. That's not an argument. That's not an argument. You're not saying that doesn't say anything about the game. That just says something about you as the player experiencing the game. And that's not unimportant. It's just, it has nothing to do with, you know, how hard the game is. Here's what I mean. Okay. We've talked a lot just now about how it's not too difficult, but it is also unbalanced, right? I think it's fair to say that nothing is for everyone. Nothing is for everyone, including the Elden Ring DLC, including Elden Ring. Just because it's popular doesn't mean it's for everyone. You shouldn't feel pressured to think it's for everyone. And this is not like a gatekeeper, oh, it's just not for you then, you're just not good enough, whatever. No, 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 no. This isn't like you're not allowed to play Elden Ring because you have skill issue, because you have a job, Lamau, get wrecked. It's just, yeah, no, life thesis sounds like a you issue. No, 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 that's not the case. But it's like, not everything is for everyone, and that's okay. You just need, you should go out and look for the things for you. And that should be empowering. It shouldn't be discouraging. And if you want to insist on playing something like Elden Ring, part of what makes Elden Ring such a big popular game, I think, that has a lot of, that despite its difficulty has earned such a big audience now, is because it does so well in balancing this difficulty and this sort of demand for your time and effort and skill and whatever versus the outcome, like versus how rewarding it feels to play, even despite having to put so much time into it. Why are you complaining that there's so much to do in a game? That is a strange complaint to have if you don't like it. You can say that, oh, I don't like the Elden Ring DLC's Shadow Tree mechanic, fragment mechanic, because I don't want to go around picking up these fragments. I want to go just bash my head against a boss. Okay, you can do that. You are allowed to do that. You're not banned from challenging a boss without fragments. It's just a lot harder. But that's because this isn't, I'm going to say it for the last time. This is an open world action RPG. It's an open world action RPG. That's what the game is. That's what you're playing. You're playing an open world action RPG. And if you don't enjoy playing an open world action RPG, there's not much that an open world action RPG can do for you to make you enjoy it if you just fundamentally don't enjoy it. In the same way that the most polished, for example, all right, here's my example, right? I feel this way, like, oh, but I have a job, school, life, I have so many things to do. I don't want to spend my time sinking into learning combos for a fighting game, okay? Let me tell you this. I am not a fighting game enjoyer. I have friends who are fighting game enjoyers. I am not. I don't like fighting games. I don't enjoy playing it. I think, and personally, I think it's too difficult, too hard for me. I think it's too hard for me in the sense that I don't, I feel like learning the combos and learning how, neutral or gauge and frame data or whatever the hell they talk about, right, is way too much for me, for my personal enjoyment out of that game. I don't get that much from beating as an opponent in ladder, from spending all the time labbing and training and whatever. In that sense, it's too hard for me. I'm not gonna go into like the new Riot Games game 2XKO and say, just because I watched Arcane, like, I'm not gonna go into 2XKO and say this game sucks. I watched Arcane and I liked it and I really wanted more, so I wanted to play some of the Riot games and I played 2XKO and it's too hard because fighting games, the combos are too hard to learn and the things are too hard to execute and it's not rewarding defeating opponents, and it's imbalanced and it gets too difficult. I'm not gonna fucking do that because I have an understanding that fighting games aren't for me. No matter what they do, it's not for me. No matter how popular the fighting game gets, I'm not gonna fucking play it because I know I don't like fighting games. Maybe that can change over time. Sure, maybe one day I can, get into it. I'm not opposed to change, and I'm not shutting myself off from it. I'm also not banned from fucking playing fighting games, but I know not to fucking play them because it's not for me personally at the moment. And that can be the same for Elden Ring. Elden Ring doesn't have to be for everyone, and without it being this gatekeepy bullshit that people like to pull. That's like, well, the game's just not for you, and it's a superior game that you're not ready for, but I am because I'm a superior gamer. Like, you don't have to resort to this sort of gatekeeping to proclaim the fact, to argue the claim that not every game's for everyone. And yes, maybe it seems like an obvious point, right? But I see a lack of discourse that focuses on this point, so I want to address it. I think fighting games is gacha games where you get the cute anime picture without having to roll, so just plain better. Mechanics, what's that? Well, yeah, and you can enjoy fighting games that way. Absolutely. Games can be enjoyed in their own ways, but I personally can't enjoy fighting games because of, the time and effort that it entails. That doesn't make the game bad. That doesn't make the game too hard. That doesn't make the game like, it doesn't make it a negative, bad experience review, Just fucking play something else. There's so many good games. All right, I'm done. I'm done with the point. I think. What else I say about the whole "but I have a job" school life thing? I think the sentiment. I understand the sentiment. I get it. I empathize with the people who say that. Oh, but the game is too difficult because I have a job. I have school. I have life. Whatever. And therefore I don't have the time to invest in overcoming the challenge. I empathize with that because there's a degree of FOMO, right? There's a degree of FOMO because everyone's playing the game right now and everyone's like, this is awesome. Everyone should play it. It's so good. I love Elden Ring. And so you want to play it and then you go into it and you realize it's not for you and that kind of sucks. And to that, I don't have an argument against that. That's just a sentiment that I can understand. And here's my response to the sentiment. Okay, here's my response. Animal Crossing, when it came out back in like 2 years ago or like 3, something like that, 3 years ago, something like that. It was the new Animal Crossing for like the Switch or whatever. I forgot. Everyone was playing it. All my friends playing it. It was super fun. There's a lot of Tom Nook memes, a lot of like Bell. At some point I was even on like I would like watch people play Animal Crossing. I think and it was just like exciting, and I was like, oh, I really want to get into it, and so I bought the game and got it on my Switch, and I played it for about like a few days, and this weird like first world problem suffering dawned on me. It's definitely a first world problem. This is a privileged problem to have, okay? Like this isn't like a real issue, but I'm expressing this as a sentiment, hopefully, so I can empathize with people who are saying this. What's above my head right now. I downloaded and played Animal Crossing for a few days and I realized it dawned on me. I don't like this game. It dawned on me that, it's actually not that fun for me. I'm not really feeling it. I don't really care about collecting the animals, and visiting the different islands and like fishing and catching bugs, decorating the house and stuff. It's like I really wanted to get in to be a part of this wave of people engaging in community, like and forming this community, but I couldn't, because at least not fully, because I just couldn't enjoy the game, and that really sucked for some weird reason, right? Because it just seemed to me like everyone around me was playing it, but I just couldn't enjoy it because it wasn't for me, and that felt really bad. And then I just played another game. Yeah, I kind of felt bad. Yeah, it's like I felt, if only they would add certain mechanics in the game, like a survival aspect, because I love survival crafts, right? Maybe if they added a survival aspect of it, I could be able to enjoy it just like everyone else. And, but it never once crossed my mind that I should make my opinion known to like Twitter or whatever, to say like Animal Crossing should add more survival aspects and a sense of tension to counterbalance it, so I can engage with it personally, like, and have fun with it, because that's the type of game I have fun with the most. Librarian wants that raccoon to survive the winter? Maybe I do. So, I get it. I get the sentiment. The sentiment that I don't have the time to invest in Elden Ring and everyone's playing it right now, which sucks because I really want to get in on it, but it's just not for me in my situation because I have these circumstances. I understand it. I empathize with you and I feel you. That I kind of understand this first/second world problem, right? I get it. Okay? It feels bad. But that has nothing to do with the game. Or rather, it does not at all mean that the game is, you cannot derive an honest argument and sentiment to say the game is too difficult because of these circumstances that you are in. In the same way that I can't say Animal Crossing is too boring because I can't relate to it personally because I can't be entertained by it if I'm not in danger, like in a minimal amount of danger at sometimes, and there's a certain tension in it. It is not, and I didn't. Maybe I could have refunded the game, Animal Crossing. Maybe I could have left a review to express my thoughts, but I didn't, because at the core of it, I understood that Animal Crossing just simply, at its level, just for what it was not a game for me. It's not like nothing they could have done to the game could have been a meaningful improvement to my experience without changing what it is fundamentally. A slice of life, calm, relaxing, kind of community bonding game type of casual game where people can hang out and have fun. That's what that is. That's what it is. It's like it's not a fucking Souls-like. It's not an RPG where there's immaculate voice acting and you know, with super amazing boss fight music. You know, that's not what the type of game it is. And it's sad that I can't enjoy it, but that's no one's fault at all. It's just a state of affairs that exists. Maybe if I existed in different circumstances, say for example, if I had, I'm not gonna say that, sorry. I had like a yeah, sorry, I'm not gonna say that point. I was really close to saying it's something that I probably shouldn't have said, so I'm not gonna say it. All right, moving on. Okay. Librarian finds paranoia necessary to enjoy games. Could this be kindred? Okay, I don't know about paranoia, but like kind of like a sort of basic level of tension. It doesn't have to be a lot. Like, for example, like Raft. I loved playing Raft. Raft is most of the time very relaxing, but there's still like occasional instances of tension. And I kind of like that. It's similarly to like survival. Minecraft is also a super chill casual game. Like Minecraft isn't like Dark Souls. Minecraft is a very chill game, but I enjoyed Minecraft too, at least the survival mode of it, just because there's this very minimal amount of tension, i.e. oh, you might starve if you don't like eat food and then you gotta go collect food. Sometimes at night there's monsters, but it's like obviously once you build a very basic hideout, and like a farm, that's never an issue ever again. But nonetheless, it is still like a sort of embedded tension that helps me enjoy something, right? And there's no that's not like that's not, I'm not gonna say that's objectively better game design or whatever. Fuck that. No, it's just that's just how I enjoy things. That's just what I like, and I figured out what I like over time by playing a ton of things and narrowing it down, right? But okay, I promise this is probably the final point. This is the final point. So let me hydrate again. Really want the librarian to be pathologic. I might put that on my reading list. Can I give you a suggestion? I might put that on my reading list. Okay. The philosophy of struggle. Life is hard. Kind of sucks. For all intents and purposes, we just want it to be easier. We want life to be easier than it is more difficult. In general, like we just kind of do. Right? That is a sort of intuitive understanding of struggle and hardship and difficulty in life is. And tangentially to this, we haven't, through the power of the free market, God, try not to mention capitalism challenge impossible brackets. Charis Euphranor live stream. But hey, life is full of struggle. Why would I even want to go home and play a video game that has struggle? That makes me struggle. You know, I want to just enjoy it and have fun. I want to like relax and sit down and have a movie. I think I used to have the sentiment like that, and I kind of still, I understand it to some extent, right? I don't want to suffer so much in my entertainment and distraction and my escapism if my life sucks so much and I'm struggling already. You know, why would I want more struggle? Until I played Elden Ring. I really mean this when I say like Elden Ring and like my introduction, putting my feet through the door of the Souls franchise has given me a new perspective on what it means to struggle, at least in a safe environment, like in a video game. Struggling and not doing very well in real life kind of sucks because there's consequences, and you know, people look down on you. You know, you might not get as far, you get less things, and you have your livelihood threatened, mayhaps. Those things can happen when you struggle in real life, and that, you know, that's why struggling sucks, and we kind of want to get over hardship. We're motivated a lot to overcome hardship as much as possible, and as such, we want things to be easy and convenient, you know, as much as possible to minimize the hardship and struggle. But I think a result of that is we have kind of ignored / underappreciated / forgotten / don't understand that struggle can be productive. There can be meaningful struggle. There can be meaningless struggle. There can be, you know, shitty, awful struggle that isn't worth it. Like, for example, starvation. Starvation is a fucking horrible garbage dog, like dog shit struggle. It's like the F tier of struggles, you know? Like, nowadays, I mean, in the context of nowadays, like, starving now sucks. Because, like, that's such, like, a meaningless thing to have to wrestle with. When there's so much wealth in the world, there's so much food that exists, there's so much potential to spread that food and well-being and basic shelter and necessities around the world, that struggling for necessities, struggling for food, struggling for, like, you know, anything basic is such a fucking horrible thing to have to go through. It doesn't make you a stronger person, a stronger character. No, it just fucking makes it life horrible. It doesn't make you better if you had to, like, you know, if you have to go through with life without struggling very hard for basic necessities. You know, I would argue that at least nowadays, in the modern age, not like, you know, back in the caveman era or whatever. No. Now, fucking now, you shouldn't have to fucking worry about clean water and, you know, a roof. That shouldn't happen, okay? That's just a fucking horrible, shitty, pointless struggle. Struggle tearless win. I think it would just be really depressing. Like, I think the concept of it might be funny. Then I think in execution it would be very depressing. And it'd be really sad. As if this wasn't already, but I have a point, okay? But that said, there can be healthy struggles. There can be good struggles. Here's a good struggle. Philosophy. Wow, shocking. Philosopher VTuber says philosophy is good. Breaking news, more at 11. But no, it's true. Understanding philosophy. Sorry, that's not the right word to use. Engaging in philosophy is a struggle in that it puts, at least when you do it, like, you know, when you're actually engaging in it, not just reading it, not just listening to it, but engaging in it. That's a whole different thing, right? Engaging in philosophy requires you to abandon certain comforts and, you know, premises, preconceptions and premises of the world that you may have previously acquired through other means, such as your education, your upbringing, whatever. You have to abandon those for a moment to accept this new, radically different idea of, or line of ideas, trains of thought. that make you uncomfortable, but nonetheless will allow you to come out of it more informed, more wise, perhaps. The love of wisdom. But struggle can be good. Productive struggle can be really good. Part of productive struggle is, for example, engaging in things like philosophy, or in things that are unfamiliar or are a little outside your comfort zone, but nonetheless healthy. You know, maybe going out and touching grass, trying a new hobby, trying it, you know, not fully diving into and committing to one, just trying it out, just seeing what's out there, you know, seeing what's out there in the world. That's a good struggle, because it's a struggle too, because, you know, it's uncertain, it's uncomfortable, it's not what you're familiar with. But it's good for you because it allows you to see the world. It allows you to engage earnestly with the world and its ideas, and I think that's very worthwhile and very meaningful. And you know what? I think some people have forgotten that. In the wake of consumerism, okay. You get it, Charis Euphranor. Capitalism bad, blah blah blah. You've said this a million times. Okay, I'll skip. I'll make it short. In the wake of consumerism, wake of wanting things quick and now and efficient, we sometimes forget that it's worthwhile to struggle really hard against something and suffer in a moment for something meaningful outside of it at the other end to come out that would make all of the struggle worth it. It makes this absurd life we live, this existential life and dread that we have to deal with all the time, worth it. Maybe there is something at the end that's worth it, you know? And it's not to perhaps glaze it too much, as if I haven't already been doing this whole stream. Elden Ring, in the context of the video game industry, is a good reminder of that. It kind of is. It's a good reminder that suffering can be good. Not all suffering in this sense, in this, you know, maybe not suffering, but like not all struggle. You know, struggle's the word. Not suffering, but suffering is like, you know, it's the word that I put in the thumbnail for clickbait. So there it is. It's good to struggle. It's good to feel like, man, this fucking boss is bullshit. What the hell? I've been getting my ass beat for the past like 2 hours. This is like, what the hell, Miyazaki, fix your game. It's okay to say that and then go around and collect more fragments and explore more things, and then, you know, come back and then summon, use all the cheap, dirty tactics, and then beat the shit out of the boss. Be like, fuck you, I did it, yes, let's fucking go. And then realizing, oh, actually, there's like more things that are even harder in this game to beat it. That's good. I think, in a way, if you are someone like me, you know, I do this, who forgets sometimes that struggle can be good, because you just kind of want it to be easy and efficient, and you know, you want, because you've suffered enough in life already, that a game like this allows you to experience sort of a simulated, because it's not real, this is a game, it's a video game, it's not real in the sense that it doesn't map onto anything in your real life. It's just a simulated series of challenges, and the skill and effort you acquire may be real in the sense that it's not that it goes away or it's a figment of your imagination, but the skill and effort you put in and the skill you get out of it kind of really just applies to video games. Not quite to real, you know, to other things in life that you struggle with. In that sense, it's simulated, right? But this simulated struggle and reward, that is so great. That reminds you that in the wake of your existential crisis, in the wake of not knowing what am I, who am I, what is my identity, you know, what the fuck is the point of being alive when all I'm here to do is to suffer and experience pain, and like, you know, all this shit is ass, and I don't know what my meaning of life is anymore. That, funnily enough, I think if you're into video games, if you're someone who plays video games, right? To play a video game that kind of reminds you of this this aspect of struggle, and to then excuse me, and to then appropriately reward you with that sense of accomplishment. Yes, it's a perhaps a simulated sense of accomplishment, but it is nonetheless something that, you know, pushes you forward in that regard. This accomplishment that can happen after you struggle is so good. It's so good. And arguably, it's something so good that it extends beyond video games as a whole into just the way you can kind of see and approach life. Now, I'm not saying, you know, you should play every Souls game and just like spend all your hours sitting down on your computer, like going through all the Dark Souls. Maybe you might enjoy doing that, and maybe like you can get a sense of accomplishment for it. But also bear in mind that you're not accomplishing that much by playing and beating a video game. Okay, it's not that big of an accomplishment. Okay, I think that's reasonable enough. I think that's fair enough logic to say that, you know, you wouldn't beat Elden Ring in your CV. You know, it's there to serve as a stepping stone. It's not, you shouldn't settle into that. You shouldn't settle into now games that are difficult and just play them and feel and get this sense of accomplishment as a substitute for accomplishing things in your actual life. But I think it's a good stepping stone for understanding that struggle can lead to this accomplishment. To remind you that, you know, in your existential anxiety and dread, that there's maybe perhaps something worth struggling for. And Elden Ring did that for me. In a good way. It's not like I didn't know, you know, or have an understanding of struggle. But Elden Ring reminded me very vividly of that through its gameplay loop. And that is something that not a lot of video games have ever done. I struggle to think of a video game that's done that to me. Right now, at least. That's fucking amazing. And that is so cool. That is like, that is the highest praise I can give this game, probably. It's not just like a score. It's not just, oh, it's perfectly crafted and it's a work of craftsmanship. Michael Zaki did it again. The boss fights are cinematic and awesome. Like, those are the other video game goods you can get from like video essays talking about how good Elden Ring is, like now or like a week, maybe even a week later when everyone's beat the DLC. But I'd be remiss to not mention, in this stream at least, why I personally feel so strongly about it. And this is why. Elden Ring reminds me that struggle is worth it. And in order for a game to do that, it has to make you struggle. In other words, it wouldn't be Elden Ring if you didn't walk in and the first mini boss humbles you and beats the living shit out of you and reminds you to know your fucking place, trash. It wouldn't be Elden Ring without that. You'd be disappointed. I would be. If you beat the game and then get the DLC and go into the Everjoel and, you know, effortlessly swept it, even though I did, but you know what I mean. When I went into Rilana, if she didn't humble my ass, my Blasphemous Blade Taker Flame spamming ass, to have to learn all of her moves anyways. If she didn't fucking make me struggle real hard on stream and stress out about it, it wouldn't have been Elden Ring. And I didn't schedule that live stream to play a game just to fill in a time slot. I didn't schedule the stream so I can farm engagement for like a trend. No. Fuck that. I wanted to play Elden Ring, and that's what happened. I fucking played Elden Ring and I loved it. Yeah, that's it. Those are my thoughts. That is I tried to be concise. I couldn't. I'm sorry. I wasn't very good at, I'm not good at being concise. It's a learning experience for all of us. That's why Elden Ring isn't too hard. That's why the DLC isn't too hard. That's why it's important to struggle. And that's why, although those things are things I feel strongly about and I staunchly advocate for, maybe you are not ready to to play this game right now in your life. You know, maybe you just don't have that time or that to sink into to this simulated effort into accomplishment cycle that fuels the struggling and suffering of Elden Ring. Maybe you're not ready for that. Maybe your laptop sucks and you can't play it. You know, damn. There are other good games out there to play too. But that doesn't mean you should leave a negative review on Elden Ring just because you can't run it on your like 10-year-old laptop. With all that said, yeah, final phase was kind of bullshit. Also, I can't believe Michael Zaki would just tank my frame rate every time the boss did like the bullshit light pillar attacks or whatever. I don't even know. Like, I can't take it anymore. I can't do this. And then the boss suddenly goes into phase 2, and then there's this sword has like fire and fucking magic. And then when I'm in long range, use the long range bullshit, and when I'm in short range, use the short range bullshit. And it's like I have to wait 20,000 years to get one hit in her fucking 50 hit combo. It's like I'm playing Elden Ring and they're playing Devil May fucking Cry. It's not fair. What the fuck, Mikozaki? All those things can exist too. These feelings and emotions can all exist at the same time. They can. You are allowed to rage at the game. You can be mad about it and you can say this game fucking sucks like while you're playing it. But you'd be dishonest if you walked away and gave up in the struggle in a game about struggle to say the struggle is too difficult. I think you'd be very disingenuous. I think you'd be dishonest in doing so. You don't have to beat it in a week. You don't have to beat it as fast as possible. You don't have to beat it the way the popular streamer told you to beat it. You can just enjoy it the way you enjoy a game, the way you want to. But if you give up, you're kind of missing the point, right? All right, that's it. No more ranting. That's it. Those are my thoughts. I'm gonna let Parrot back in briefly. Parrot, are you here? Parrot here? Yeah, Parrot's here. Parrot should be here. To just read out anything left if anyone wants to have any comments. Otherwise, this is the end of the stream, probably. I don't think the streams need to be that long.
Cat.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution to this discussion, Fufu.
Been saving this for the end. What would you do with a larger following? The parasocial intimacy right now may stay, it may not. Thoughts?
Oh.
Struggling is the most common process of growth, or SMT, kinda disassociated when the philosopher mentioned SMT about life.
Okay, I like that. That was good. All right, Parrot, you can stop now. That's good. We have some closing thoughts. I'm gonna remove this. Hold on. Sorry, I need to get this out of the way so it's easier to understand. All right. Okay. What would you do with a larger following? The parasocial intimacy right now means they may not. Thoughts? I don't know you people and you're not real. And if you're gone, I'm not gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss the idea of you. I'm gonna miss having a chatter in my live stream if you are like gone for whatever reason. But I'm not gonna miss you. The reason I'm not gonna miss you is because I don't fucking know you. With that out of the way, what would I do with a larger following? Probably just more of this. I don't think it depends on how big the following is. And I think if there's a larger following, the style of what I do may evolve and shift over time. Maybe again, I'll peel behind the curtain a little bit. Part of what made me very comfortable with implementing this concept and design and execution of Parrot, and why I think it works out perfectly here. I really like Parrot. I love the idea of Parrot in these live streams, reading out your comments and everything, because there's not that many of you. It's because I'm a fucking indie male VTuber who and no one gives. I know no one gives a shit about male indie VTubers, and I know that for sure. I know that. That is a fact. It's not that no one does. It's just very few people do. The supply is definitely higher than the demand, is all I'll say. And so I expected, not a lot of chat engagement, and because of that, I implemented Parrot this way to read out everything. I feel like it wouldn't do something. It wouldn't, impede the stream flow or whatever. With that said, if I had a larger following and there were like maybe 100 more people in this chat, or 10 people, 100 more people, Parrot as a concept wouldn't work as well, because reading out everything would just impede into the flow of what I'm streaming too much, and so then it kind of takes away from, like, it distracts me and it takes away from me, right? So you're right in thinking about like if I will do the same thing in the future, and the answer is no. I'll change and adapt. Of course I will, if there's more people and if I get a bigger following. But I'm not gonna like suddenly stop being the Philosopher VTuber. I'm not gonna suddenly stop being the last librarian of Alexandria. That's going to be here. And if it doesn't, then feel free to comment, oh, I miss back when Charis Euphranor was unpopular. I miss when the Philosopher VTuber was actually a Philosopher VTuber and didn't just do stupid trends and just very superficial analyses just to pump out a quick video and to get the YouTube revenue money. You can feel free to write that and I won't block you. I won't delete comments. I've made it very clear, I hope to make it even clearer, that I will never censor anything anyone writes ever on any comment or feedback, unless it's like shit that just goes against the YouTube guidelines. Like if you are like doxing, or if you put like a slur or something horrible and terrible, like I'll obviously remove that, but I won't remove like a negative opinion on me. I have yet to see them. I wish I wanted to see. I'm looking forward to the first like hater. I really am. I look forward to it. As for, is this parasocial intimacy right now a thing? If you feel like that is, first of all, it's good that you can even have that like sort of intuition, a sort of feeling. And if you feel like that is, then I'm not doing a good enough job separating it. You are all maybe I can like, yeah, obviously I'll remember if you show up, I'll remember your chatter names and stuff, and I can like, read out your message and it's your message. But you're kind of all like a monolith to me in that you are all whatever Parrot tells me. You are all what Parrot speaks to me in my ears. You're not like one weird entity, and I don't know you. So there is no, I think the sort of what you're kind of describing is just a byproduct of the stream being small and there not being that many people in the live stream, because I'm a indie male VTuber, Labao, one of the VTubers of all time. Certainly one of the one of them, yeah, certainly one of them. So in the future, we must battle royale each other for cap privileges. I'm thinking of how to do that. Because I still want to do that on YouTube. On Twitch, there's like easier ways to do it. Like I can just make it so that you claim channel points, whatever, to like say a message that is spoken. Like that's pretty easy to do. Like if you accumulate points by watching, or you like, and if there's a bigger following, it could be like a donation thing or whatever, right? That can be helpful to have Parrot speak certain things. But to implement that on YouTube is a little more difficult. I can do, okay, so here's the thing, is like, I can do it if it's like, I can do something like, oh, you can super chat for Parrot to read a message out. That's super easy. I could do that right away. The problem is, because I know how to do that. The problem is I have 69 subscribers. I have 69 subscribblers right now. And you need like 1,000 for super chats, I think, to even be a thing. Not to mention, I don't want to keep, at least not now, Parrot behind a paywall. And I also want to make, I want to make sure that everyone gets spoken up by Parrot in some ways in the future. I think that's a charm unique to Charis Euphranor that I don't want to give up or abandon if I ever do get a large following. Again, though, this may be strange because small indie VTuber is thinking about being successful when he knows he probably isn't going to be. But yeah, I do think into the future, into the good case outcomes, sometimes. And that's the amount of thought I put into what I would do with a larger following. That said, the larger following needs to come first. And frankly, I need to get on my ass and edit shorts and videos, cutting up the streams into smaller biteable chunks to get a larger following. That's just the nature of what it is. So problems for later, good ones to have too. Showing is the most common process of growth or something kind of disassociated with when the philosopher mentions something about life. Yeah, exactly. That was what I wanted to, that was what I was talking about. Yeah, was you need to struggle to grow. You need to struggle to, productive struggling helps you grow and be a better person. Yeah. And Elden Ring is a reminder that you're struggling in Elden Ring is not the same as struggling with things in life, but the simulation of it, because it's a safe environment in a video game, allows you to experience that hardship without truly suffering. Like, you're not truly being dealt psychic damage when the boss one shots you, because it's not like you're getting hurt by the boss physically. You're just kind of, you're playing a video game. You're playing a video game. And so the simulated accomplishment there can help motivate you to endeavor and endure the struggles you may have to face in real life that actually do hurt you in a way, right? We are chatbots, yes. Text ghosts living on the construction of words, and some future we must battle royale each other. Yep. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you are. You're all like chatbots. You're not real. None of you are real. I miss when chairman is not popular now. He has a funny number following. That's true. Oh, it's so sad. My favorite my favorite philosopher VTuber really fell off when he started getting popular. When he finally got like a whole bunch of subscribers, like all 69 of them, and it's just like, oh wow, it's just terrible. He's too popular now. Cat will not work for the Burgoose, or however it is spelled. Okay, you can come back now, Parrot. You can speak again, but I did have an idea of it being a toggleable thing, of Parrot being a toggleable function in some way, where like it would be maybe once I have a larger following, it would be off by default, but you could do certain things to enable it again for a short amount of time. That is kind of the compromise I have in my head. So don't worry about Parrot going away. That's not going to happen. But yeah, again, this discussion is only going to be relevant in like a year, dude. It's going to take at least a year for me to have to worry about this.
I will tell Librarian to rant about how DLC end should include a game end, so we at least pass the 2-hour mark.
What are we on now? We're at a minute 53. You'll tell me to rant about the deal. Oh yeah.
So we have to achieve a certain combo to turn Cat on.
A certain combo, maybe not a combo, but like a something. I haven't figured it out yet. Okay, I'm gonna turn you off, Parrot, because I want to finish this and then end at the 2-hour mark, because I might take a little long. I don't know. I won't. Okay. Thank you for reminding me there. Earlier, you did mention how the ending is kind of weird because it doesn't have an ending, sort of. And that can be a rant for that. Like, no. Thank God I turned Parrot off before you could say that. Before Parrot could say that. It is kind of weird that you beat the final boss, and then you kind of just, like, it's done. You beat the final boss, and then it's like, okay, that's it, good job. And then you get like a cutscene that shows you like a memory or a flashback. It's like, oh, cool, lore. And then that's it. That's the whole big thing. In the sense that they designed it like, I think that part of it was like a sort of not crisis, but they were struggling to figure out how to design the DLC, like whether or not to design it as something to attach to the end of Elden Ring or something to attach to the adjacently to Elden Ring. And I think they settled for this weird sort of both, because you can say that it's sort of an end to Elden Ring in the sense that you're meant to beat the whole game first before going into the DLC, in that first of all you have to beat the two of the 3 hardest optional bosses, and also because everything in there is so much fucking harder than the base game. Like it is. It's a natural progression from like the end game of the base game that it feels like, okay, you'd beat the whole game and you go through there. And so it feels like, okay, well now you want this epilogue, this new ending after going through this whole new thing, this new story continuation of Elden Ring. Why doesn't it end anywhere? Oh, well, because it's technically in the story, in the lore, it's like an adjacent timeline. You know, the tree didn't burn down yet. You didn't take over as Elden Lord, whatever. You don't really get any special credits or whatever because the game's not technically over, right? And that it's structured that way as well. And that is kind of just confusing. I think that is a compromise due to the scope of what they wanted to do, like how much fucking content they wanted to make, and the release of it being, you know, 2 years after the game's initial release that everyone's beaten, and it being structured in a way that's encouraging you to go in with your full gear rather than going in level 1 as just extra content. Because for example, Breath of the Wild has DLC that adds like certain just like cosmetics or whatever, but it's not like an extra dungeon at the side that's like another 30-hour experience. It's like, it's just you go in and there's more, you just start the game again and there's more features within the open world game, right? And I don't know if it suffers for that from that as a result, but it certainly is a little less coherent and sort of unsatisfying. Like it's not as, it doesn't feel very satisfyingly concluded in that respect, right? I get that sentiment and I think I agree. I think here's the compromise, right? Here's what I think they should have done that I don't think they did. I'm not too sure, but I think I've read enough into it. But so correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't have any new endings either. There's no like new ending that's like a Miquella based ending for the game. I think that's a mistake. I think that's something that FromSoft could have actually done to tie in that sense of accomplishment and completion and like finality to the DLC, is maybe not to put it in the Shadowlands specifically, but make it so that by beating the final boss in the Shadowlands, you get access to a new ending exclusively by beating the Shadowlands. And then you can go back in the game and beat the Elden Beast. Because guess what? As of 2 weeks ago, apparently in the final boss, and this is a complaint I had all the way 2 years ago, you can fight the Elden Beast now with your horse, with Torrent, which is so much better. I don't know why they didn't do that. Like so much of the Elden Beast fight was annoying because it's just fucking running and it's annoying as shit because the boss just dashes, like swims like whatever 5 miles away from you, and then you have to like fucking run over most of the time in the attack windows, and that's just like annoying. That made it hard for the wrong reasons, right? It was unfun. It was not very fun, the struggle. And so they've implemented a fix, or rather an improvement, which is letting you use Torrent to close the gap. Perfect. It's kind of like the Breath of the Wild ending too. Amazing. Great. Awesome. I don't know why they didn't do it sooner, or rather, I'm happy they did it now. You know what would be a great way to get people to go back and see that? By adding a new ending so they have a reason to beat the Elden Beast again. Just do that. Just do that. Just do that, man. Just fucking do that, man, please. It's kind of annoying to me. It's optional. It's hard as endgame. An alternative ending fits, plus it's such a magnificent environment that just falls flat. Why not an ending? What's to lose? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just kind of had to, release it in this window because maybe they just didn't have enough time in their development schedule to do this. There's a fuck ton of shit they have added here. Like this DLC is bigger and more like fulfilling even as a game. Like it's more fun and it's more to do, and it's so much more exciting than most major games that have come out this year. It's not even close, dude. If this counts as its own game, it's easily a contender for Game of the Year. The DLC for a game that already won Game of the Year 2 years ago. That's how good it is. And for it to kind of and so I get it that if they had a huge workload and they couldn't manage to, do an ending as well on top of it. Kind of sucks. But I would have liked if they just delayed the game a little further to do that, personally. But maybe it's not the case. Maybe it's not just a delay. Like the delay would have to be really long because of how overworked and tired FromSoft employees are. I don't know what the situation is there. I hope they're doing well. I hope they get paid well. I hope they get good rest. I hope they get accomplishments and pats on the back, and everyone in the industry wanting to work with them because of how fucking good the shit they do is. I wish nothing but the greatest success to the people who work at FromSoft, because goddamn, what a masterpiece, right? But yeah, they could have added a new ending. They should have done that. Would it be more work? Yeah, it would be more work. But, come on. 2 hour stream from Euphranor. Am I allowed to sleep tonight? I fundamentally disagree with this. Please take up my night more. I beg of you. I don't want to take too much of everyone's time. Feel kind of bad doing that when I'm just kind of rambling. Streams. I'll stream tomorrow. You know what? Yeah, I'll stream tomorrow. I think I'll end the stream today at the 2 hour mark, which is a little shorter than the really fucking long streams most of the time that I had a while ago. But that's because those are kind of gameplay streams. This being a talk stream, hopefully you're annoyed. Hopefully you don't like my voice by now. Hopefully you're like, all right, that's enough. I don't want to hear you anymore. Right after 2 hours. I haven't announced it. I haven't made a schedule or anything, but I'll stream tomorrow. Yeah, I think I'll just can I let Parrot speak a bit? Sure. Parrot, you can come back. We're wrapping up. No more big topics to talk about. That's it. Prayers answered. Yeah, I think I'll just stream Tears of the Kingdom tomorrow, and you can just we can just chill. It's not gonna be. I have nothing planned beyond just it being Tears of the Kingdom. I don't even know what the clickbait thumbnail title is gonna be yet. I haven't thought of it. Genshin addict tries Tears of the Kingdom for the second time. It wouldn't hit the same. It doesn't hit the same as the first time, you know?
Can't be like, hey, how you doing, lil mama? Let me whisper in yat ear. Peak 3 hours whacking the boat, let's go.
Gosh, you made me ungag Parrot for this. Come on. Oh. 3 hour boat whacking stream, maybe. But yeah. This is the epilogue. This is the ending to the Elden Ring
DLC my
that
joke
everyone
done.
wanted.
Bye cat.
But this is the hopefully if you didn't find
Curious
the
fact
ending
about
of
Australia
the DLC
for tonight.
Yeah.
We sold one of our 5 major ports to China for 100 years. Something like that.
100 years you sold a major port. Oh. Like they own it. Oh. Interesting. That is an interesting fact. Thank you for your Australia facts.
Have you guys got it back?
Did you get it back? Is it still like China's?
Nope.
Oh, so it's still China's. Interesting.
Alright, so you were saying something about Elden Ring stream tomorrow?
No more Elden Ring. No more Elden Ring. Hopefully the sort of unsatisfactory conclusion that the DLC Shadow of the Erdtree has brought to you was alleviated a little bit by my 2 hour yap session justifying why this
Last
video game is
government
good.
about 3 years ago.
Interesting. Yeah, so I'm gonna I'll be in Tears of the Kingdom tomorrow. We're just gonna be very chill and build robots and explore another example of peak overworld, I suppose. Peak open world game. And
oh, so it's recent. Interesting.
okay, yeah, nothing more. All right, enough with your Australian facts. This is my stream, my live stream. It's the Charis Euphranor's live stream, and we're ending it now. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for watching.
He's not an Elden Ring stream, he's an open world RPG streamer. Bye bye.
No! I need
Have
to
a
go
great
play
time
something
in
else
the
now.
library, chairman.
I need to go play something else now. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good time.
Bye bye.
Have a good day. I'm gonna go skedaddle and work on stuff, and then tomorrow we're gonna have Tears of the Kingdom. All right.
Thank you for stream. Night, fellas.